So, here I am today again wanting to speak to you about the ongoing Sushant Singh Rajput case and what all is the latest developments in the case. Let me first start by telling you a story. There was a kingdom, there was a king and a queen, and they had a wonderful family. And one fine day, and there's a massacre in the palace, and the entire kingdom falls, and democracy is, you know, attained in the country. And instead of actually calling it democracy, there's the jungle Raj. Now, if you can make out what I'm trying to say from this, you'll get quite shocked. First of all, let me ask you a few questions on the Sushant Singh Rajput case. Let me see how closely you've been following it. If you can tell me who Disha Salian is. People say that she was Sushant Singh Rajput's former manager. She used to look after his work. To be very frank, Disha Salian used to work in a company called Cornerstone Inc. It's a private limited company, and it's owned by, the owner is Bunty Sajda. Now, who's Bunty Sajda? He's got company and links in Dubai. And under this company, it's a celebrity and sports management company where celebrities and sports people alike are handled under this company. And Disha Salian used to work there. Now, when we talk about celebrities, celebrities are of all rankings, the A-listers, the B-listers, everyone in Bollywood. Sports people, right from the captains of the Indian cricket team to people like Sania Mirza, to anyone. You can even talk about the previous international cricket captains who've been there. This company manages it all, and Disha Salian was part of this company. She was working there as a publicist, as a manager, as a professional person who was dealing with celebrities and sports person. Number one. Number two, who was Sushant Singh Rajput? He was a Bollywood star, an upcoming star. He had immense talent. He was well educated, well versed with his work. Not only that, Sushant Singh Rajput, out of 9 or 10 films that he did, 6 of them were hits, and out of, I think, all of them, just one was a flop, which was Son Chiriya. It didn't do very well with Sara Ali Khan, and of course news was also that after this film, Sara Ali Khan and Sushant Singh Rajput stopped becoming friends. They parted their ways. But prior to that, Sara Ali Khan was they were supposed to be dating each other. Well, this is part of Bollywood. And of course, all his films were doing very well. Rabta didn't do very well with Vani Kapoor. But if you look at his Mahendra Singh Dhoni, it was extremely well carried out, and it was excellence, par excellence, let's say. And once Dhoni himself had also said that, Sushant had told Dhoni that whenever they talk of Mahendra Singh Dhoni, they will remember Sushant. Well, out of context, Sushant must have said this because a film becomes immortal. Actors immortalize all characters. We tend to remember films and films' characters through the actors who've portrayed whatever they have portrayed. So, Sushant Singh was right when he said that. So, I've told you who Disha is, I've told you who Sushant is. Now, let's come to who Sandeep Singh was. Who's Sandeep Singh? The so-called friend of Sushant Singh Rajput, who all of a sudden gained a lot of publicity. It was said that he did it for publicity. It was said that he was increasing his PR-ship, though he's already a producer. Now, what is the link between him and Sushant Singh Rajput? Well, the link is such that both of them are from Bihar, number one link. Number two, Sushant Singh Rajput and Sandeep Singh did not work together, but Sandeep Singh was seen quite often with Ankita Lokhande after Sushant Singh Rajput and Ankita Lokhande had a fallout. So Sushant went his way, and Sandeep Singh was seen quite often with Ankita Lokhande. But it's only seen, like how they are seen together. That's all. We didn't get any more news apart from that. But Sandeep Singh, there's more to him. If you check out my feature story on this channel, all you need to know about Sandeep Singh, you'll come to know. Sandeep Singh started his journey in Mumbai as a ice cream vendor. He used to sell ice creams at the Marine Drive, and he used to earn money, and he completed his education through this way. And then of course he was very interested in journalism, in media. So slowly he climbed the ladder. He became a RJ in many radio stations, and he got a position of a CEO in Sanjay Leela Bhansali Productions. He was quite a big name, and with Sanjay Leela Bhansali they produced some of the beautiful movies like Ram Leela and Rowdy Rathod and name it. Okay. Now after working with Mr. Sanjay Leela Bhansali, Sandeep Singh formed his own company and he became a producer. Now as a producer, first he created the biopic of Mary Kom, which was very huge success, and I think that led him to make another film, another biopic on the present Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, which even though under immense scrutiny, under immense oppositions revolting against the film got its release, didn't do very well, but the first screening was not even done in India, it was done in Dubai. Now in Sandeep Singh's case, when we talk about Sushant Singh Rajput, because our center point is Sushant Singh Rajput, Sandeep Singh came into the limelight as soon as Sushant Singh Rajput was no more. He was at his home, he was at the hospital, he was at the cremation grounds, he was the one who even made arrangements for his parents, for his father and for his relatives to come over from Bihar, from Patna to Mumbai during lockdown, which if you look at it on a humanitarian ground, he's done a wonderful job. Okay. Now what other connection does Sandeep Singh have? Sandeep Singh was not in touch with Sushant Singh Rajput for quite some time, because Sushant Singh Rajput did not have anything to do with Sandeep Singh. Now this will alarm you, but this is the truth. Sandeep Singh was used as a mastermind with, now we're coming to the fourth character, Riya Chakrabarti. Who's Riya Chakrabarti? A struggling actress in Bollywood who hasn't yet earned a title as a heroine. She works with people like Mahesh Bhatt and the like, and she's we meet a lot of Riya Chakrabarti characters in Bollywood, in and around our society, where they have dreams of making it big, and where they have dreams of having everything under the sun, ambitious, over ambitious. So if you look at Riya Chakrabarti, she was ambitious. She wanted to be rich. She wanted to own a hotel of her own. She wanted to have a private jet. She had all these, ambitious dreams. And who did she wanted to fulfill through? She couldn't find anyone. It had to be Sushant, because Sushant Singh Rajput had just become so very famous with Mahendra Singh Dhoni, Chichore, and a few other films on the pipeline which got released after his demise. Dil Bechara and of course Drive, which was on the OTT platform with Jacqueline Fernandez. All along we used to, all along, we used to talk about Kangna Ranaut. She was quite on the television networks and talking about nepotism and talking about hypocrisy and she's all the time picking out names and targeting Bollywood celebs. So Kangna Ranaut has her own story. Kangna Ranaut speaks the truth in a way, because she is a person who struggled hard. She's come in, she has been used, she has been thrown, she has been called names, but ultimately she worked hard, she made her way, and she's a known figure in today's industry. She's a self-made woman without anyone's support. She makes her own movies the way she wants it, and she's quite successful in all that she's doing so far. So kudos to the girl. Now Ankita Lokhande, we all know she is the former girlfriend of Sushant Singh Rajput. All this time she was not very upfront with the media. She did star in Manikarnika with Kangna Ranaut. A small role she had as Kangna Ranaut's friend in the film. And she again came into limelight as soon as Sushant Singh Rajput's demise. She spoke on Sushant Singh Rajput. She gave clarifications how he could never commit suicide, because he was a person who you always had a future to look forward to. He always planned ahead. He was a balanced man. He was happy. He had dreams which he wanted to fulfill. So a person who's got dreams to fulfill will not want to commit suicide, was a very strong point, and we all believe in this point very, very clearly. Now, after the CBI has taken over, we have Mr. Samuel Miranda, who is the house owner. We have Siddharth Pithani, who is the flatmate of Sushant Singh Rajput. We have Neeraj Singh, who is the cook. And we have Dipesh Sawant, who is the manager, current manager of who looks after Sushant Singh Rajput, who used to look after. Now, all this time, CBI has interrogated these people more than 3, 4, 5 times. They have been doing that again and again. Finally, today, the three have owned up. Siddharth Pithani was the one who owned up that on the 8th of June, after Disha Salian's death, which came as a shock, because we all know that it's not a suicide. There's more to the story, but though it's not been touched so much upon, but definitely with time, with Sushant's case, this will also be reopened. But Siddharth Pithani today has opened up that on the 8th itself, men had come to Sushant Singh Rajput's home with Riya. In Riya's presence, 8 hard disks were destroyed, and Riya was very much there. They have copied all data into another hard disk, and the hard disks which were with Sushant Singh Rajput were destroyed by Riya. After that, Riya left Sushant Singh Rajput's home. So most probably the plan was to finish off with Sushant Singh Rajput the very day, but there must have been some reason, which we will come to know later on. But in my earlier live videos, if you've been watching very closely, I had mentioned the drug dealers had visited Sushant's house. I had told you very, very clearly in my earlier videos. If you've not seen them, go back to the live videos I've done, and you'll see I have mentioned how drug dealers were also mentioned. Now today, in today's case, it's become very prominent that there were drug dealers involved because of Riya Chakrabarti's chat messages, and apparently her brother Shaumik is also involved in this big scandal. And now, why should we only put the blame on these 2 or these 3 people? Let's take it further. I told you about Cornerstone Inc., where Disha Salian used to work. Now, this company, Bunty Sajda, his sister is married to Sohail Khan, Seema. Okay? Sohail Khan is whose brother? Salman Khan's brother. Arbaz Khan last year in 2019 was caught red-handed on a betting spree for IPL, wherein at that time it had become very controversial, and at that time Param Singh, the CP of Mumbai, the present, at that time, very quietly and secretively, Arbaz's this entire thing was shunned down, it was mellowed down, and Arbaz was set free without any interrogation on him. And since Bunty Sajda's company manages these cricketers and celebrities, there is a link somewhere. Who manages Being Human, which is Salman Khan's company? Arbaz Khan. What does Being Human do? They have merchandise, they have bikes, they have gym material, they are going into all these things, big things. They are playing it safe. Let's hope they play it safe. Now the bigger factor is, on the day when Sushant Singh Rajput was murdered or was killed was found dead, and suicide was given evidence, and the post-mortem report did not have the date mentioned, and the CBI had kept on going to the hospital, to Cooper Hospital, to meet the doctors. Who is this authority in Maharashtra who has given holidays to all the 5 doctors? All the 5 doctors are on leave. They are not available at the hospital. The investigating officer, the IO, who had given instruction to the doctors to hurry up with the post-mortem and not delay, has suddenly got COVID. So he is under quarantine or isolation. He is under treatment for COVID-19. It's happened all of a sudden. Now, the question is, Subramaniam Swamy says the entire thing is linked to Dubai, and he has very clearly stated that Dubai hitmen are very, very famous for the way they do things. And all this, calling the key maker and making it like a financial scandal and all these things are just purposely put there. The love triangle, the love angle, and all these things are purposely put there to divert the attention, to deviate the case. Now, Subramaniam Swamy has made a very big opinion on this, and he has said that since Bollywood is under the drug mafia, the movie mafia, because most of the money is black, hawala is being done here. And if you look at it, all the Khans and all the big celebrities, they have a very strong connection with Dubai. Every New Year party will be in Dubai. All of these Khans have got the most enviable properties in Dubai. They are filthy rich in Mumbai as well as Dubai. They are high taxpayers. But if you ask them to speak on issues which will be interest to the nation, they have not much to talk about. But if you talk to them about other topics, then they will say India is intolerant. They will be the first ones to give up their awards, and they'll have many things to troll on Twitter. So Bollywood, I would say, is full of hypocrisy. It's hypocrites who are just there. Talent has been squashed, and it's people who can make films on a business level. Like, there was a time when the industry was running on films which were actually films. They were making films on basis of talent. The industry now that we have, the corporates run it. Corporates run means it's completely business. So when it's business, in business what do? You only go for those things which will give you a huge profit, a huge return. Karan Johar's party, rave party, it went viral. Karan Johar himself put up the clippings on social media. In there you could see celebrities whiffing up powder up their noses. People like Vicky Kaushal, who just done the film on Uri, and that created quite a wave. because on screen you come up as nationalists and people who are fighting for the country and who hail your country, and otherwise you are doing things which are not correct, socially not correct. It is being said that Mumbai, the streets, every street will have drugs on sale and it's very easily available. In fact, all Indian cities, drugs are easily available. But why? Aren't we ruining the youth? Aren't you ruining the people of today? What future do they have for tomorrow? Now, Sandeep Singh, he has not come in front of the media after giving his verdict on Sushant Singh Rajput and calling him his Bihari Bhai. He has, since all these revelations have been made, and especially since today when Pithani and Neeraj and Dipesh have owned up that hard disks were taken from Sushant Singh Rajput's home, and the hard disks which he had have been destroyed, and Riya had left the home after that. It has been told that Sushant Singh Rajput was not looking well or feeling well for a couple of days. It seemed he was troubled about something, because we all feel that, and we have all come to know that he wanted to open up to the media on this. But before he could do all this, an end to his life was made. Now, how was this possible unless and until a higher authority, much beyond the doctors, much beyond the policemen, much beyond the DCP, CP, who is there in the state, the state holders. So definitely fingers are pointing there, and it'll be good to see the things opening up more, and we await to see what will happen tomorrow. So till then, keep waiting and watching for news from live updates from me. Thank you and have a good night.